This is really bad. There's no denying it. The crypto market has been taking a beating the past week, and over the past day, these projects down 10 to 20%. The crypto fear and greed index is at 27 right now, almost at extreme fear. But is this time to panic? Is this time to run for the hills? We have a lot to talk about in this video. We're going to discuss what's taking place with Wintermute, Binance, the reason why this crash is happening, and what's happening with stocks compared to the crypto market. Listen, if you hold Bitcoin, it just broke below $100,000, and also the 50-week EMA. So is this a time to run for the hills? Is the bear market starting? We're going to answer all of these questions. And for those of you that are holding, XRP, if you're holding XLM, if you're holding HBAR, or virtually any other altcoin, this is going to be one of the most important videos that you watch all month long. So as bad as it is right now, I do have some good news for you that I know you're going to love in this video. So comment 777 if you're still feeling blessed, if you're still feeling bullish, regardless of what the markets or your portfolio showing you right now. And if you believe you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, regardless of how long it takes, then smash the subscribe button. Let's run it. Do you love crypto, but are you worried about taxes shrinking your retirement nest egg? Here's the deal. Trading and selling crypto can trigger capital gains taxes, eating into your wealth. A crypto IRA fixes that. Per IRS publication 590B, traditional IRA gains like those from crypto aren't taxed until distributed. That's why we've partnered with iTrust Capital, a leading crypto IRA company in the USA, to sponsor today's video. And they offer institutional grade custody for retail clients that want to set up their crypto IRAs for retirement, leveraging top storage solutions like Fidelity, Wells Fargo, and Coinbase Prime to keep your assets secure. To get started, simply click the link in the description of this video, sign up for free, and fund your account with cash. They also offer 401k rollovers or crypto transfers, and you can trade 24/7 with just 1% transaction fees and no maintenance costs. As always, I'm not a CPA or financial advisor, so consult one for tax advice, and we do earn a commission if you sign up using our link below to fund your crypto IRA account, but that helps support value-based videos like this, and iTrust Capital already has over 200,000 crypto IRA accounts and over $14 billion in transactions, proving they're trusted by smart investors just like you. So click the link below, get started now by funding your account today, and let's create generational wealth together. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So with Bitcoin selling off, 6% the past 24 hours, the altcoins are going to take a bigger beating. We talked about this in my video yesterday, and this is what I said. And now the stochastic RSI is at 53 and 40 for the K line and the D line. We're not yet down here closer to zero. So which tells me XRP has more ranging to do, either sideways or potentially going lower in the short term in this downtrend, and this sell-off is not yet over. If, on the contrary, the stochastic RSI was all the way down here closer to zero, then I might be more bullish for an aggressive recovery to the upside. However, this is what we look for on the price chart, because the RSI is at 37, the stochastic is in the middle of a range right here. This is why I called for the short on XRP instead of Altcoin Pro. So the million-dollar question is, why is this sell-off happening? Crypto markets have officially raced over $1 trillion of market cap since October 6th. Crypto adoption is still at record highs. Deregulation is in full swing and technology is advancing rapidly. However, leverage is at unprecedented levels, which is amplifying moves in the market, such as the $20 billion liquidation that we saw on October 10th. And as a result, when uncertainty arises or technical momentum fades, downward swings are amplified. We saw over 300,000 traders being liquidated per day on average, and the market has evolved into the most reactive form in history, regardless of Donald Trump's bullish headlines. So the long-term thesis is stronger than ever from an adoption standpoint, but the short-term picture points to larger swings to liquidate leveraged traders. And there's massive rumors out there about Wintermute versus Binance after the October crash, because in the past 30 days alone, $34.5 billion have been traded between the two. Binance sends, 10 to 100 million chunks of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana to Wintermute wallets hours before every major dump. Wintermute then market sells on Binance, triggering cascading liquidations. And then Binance pockets the funding rate fees and Wintermute pockets the spread. Retail longs get wiped out, and then whales refill on the bid. So there's been a lot of rumors out there of people claiming that Wintermute, one of the largest market makers, is preparing to sue Binance over unfair ADL executions during the October 10th crash that liquidated nearly $20 billion in positions. And then Binance confirmed that their systems were overloaded, massive ADL triggers, but denied any preferential treatment or internal errors. But Wintermute CEO just posted this saying literally nothing changed since this tweet. We never had plans to sue Binance, nor see any reason to do in the future. I should probably ask to make a note of all the people spreading baseless rumors, but most of people believing these have goldfish memory capacity, so I won't. So there's no lawsuit for now, but one thing is very clear. After the October crash, no one fully trusts centralized exchanges anymore. And this isn't just retail selling here. This is engineered liquidity. The goal has been simple. It's to make retail sell the bottom. It's brutal, but it's effective and it's intentional. And if we go to Google Trends right now, we just type in crypto, it's 34 out of 100 over the past 5 years. So, people aren't that interested in crypto from a retail standpoint. They're more interested in tech stocks. So we can see tech stocks are flying. Gold is printing new all-time highs. Every asset is virtually up except for the crypto market. And one could argue that that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Retail left months ago. They chase tech stocks. They always do, and they always lose. Where only institutions remain that are creating the framework for which the new financial system will run on, like BlackRock, Fidelity, the hedge funds. So altcoins didn't die by accident. They were starved on purpose. Institutions don't want retail to make money. But the laws are ready, the banks are ready, the system is ready. And a lot of people are saying that when they press go, this won't be a bull run. It will be a financial reset. The rich people know it, the smart are quietly preparing, and everyone else is asleep right now. So if we look at the Bitcoin to the US dollar price chart on the weekly here, we can see the stochastic RSI is still down here at 10 and 10 in oversold conditions. The relative strength index is at a very critical point of support right now that it was at all the way back here in March of 2025, all the way back here in September of 2024, right at the 50 EMA. Now we did go below it on the 5th of August right here on this wick. And then we also did go below it right here on the 7th of April. So it wouldn't be abnormal for Bitcoin to wick below it and then to get bought up over the next 24 hours. We do have a full moon. I believe it's tomorrow or the next day. So I do expect there to be a bounce for Bitcoin. And also on the weekly here, because we are oversold on the stochastic RSI, at some point, this will reverse back to the upside. So the real question is, how low do we go on this weekly close here? Or will we see this massive wick to the downside and us to hold on top of the 50 EMA before bouncing higher? So like I just talked about in my video yesterday. So this is why we're seeing Bitcoin's dominance continue to rally higher. If we go into the daily chart here, we can see the RSI is at 67. We're not yet in really overbought conditions above 70 here. That shows that Bitcoin's dominance could go even higher. The good news that I have for you guys is if you have any money on the sidelines, this could present an amazing buying opportunity on the daily here when we see the stochastic RSI come down a little bit lower. So have a little more patience here. Watch for the stochastic RSI to reset closer to 0. The relative strength index is at 29 right now. But each time that we dipped below 30 on the relative strength index was during these massive sell-offs. The last time was all the way back here in February to March when Bitcoin sold off from $96,000 to $78,000. Then we saw an aggressive pump back to the upside, and the stochastic RSI experienced a bullish cross and aggressive recovery back to the upside, back to the 50 EMA. So once this low is in and the stochastic RSI is bottomed out, I would expect there to be an aggressive recovery to the upside. And we could see Bitcoin come all the way back to the 50 EMA, and that would be roughly around $106,000 to $107,000. So we'll see where this low is in, but expect there to be a massive aggressive recovery pump for Bitcoin after we see a bullish cross on the stochastic RSI. I would wait for it to go below 20. I wouldn't get aggressively bullish right now. There still could be some more selling pressure. As I mentioned in my last video, I would expect these stop losses to get hit by the market makers to flush out the long traders, because what long traders do is they set their stop loss beneath a previous support, and that would be this wick right here. So they like to set it a percentage point or two. So it'd be likely for Bitcoin to then go below that and then make an aggressive recovery back to the upside like I talked about in my video yesterday. So this would be my expectations. Bitcoin to sweep down here at like $93,000 to $96,000 and then make a recovery back up to then intersect the 50 EMA over the next few days and the next few weeks. Then we will reevaluate this chart right here depending on where we're at within the next week or two. Now, if Bitcoin continues to the downside here, well, altcoin's going to bleed out even more, which confirms the Bitcoin dominance strength here. Now Bitcoin's dominance is at 60%, and we're going to continue to climb higher for Bitcoin's dominance, most likely between 50% to a 618 retracement right here before we turn around to the downside. So the safest play here, if you want allocation in the crypto market, is really just to be in Bitcoin, because until Bitcoin really gets back up here near its previous highs and starts to make a new all-time high, it doesn't really make much sense to hold many altcoins. You know, if you have like 10, 20 altcoins, your portfolio is going to get absolutely destroyed over the next week or two. And I'm going to replay this video for you if you're holding altcoins, if you don't want to rotate to Bitcoin. Again, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to sell anything. This is not financial advice. I'm just sharing with you the facts that I see on the charts. And you have to remain stoically logical about these things. So Bitcoin's dominance is still in a short-term uptrend in a retracement here after this pullback. And it's highly likely that we go higher because look at the stochastic RSI. We're at 90 and 79. We still have more momentum to the upside. And then I would expect the stochastic RSI to experience some type of cross up here closer to 100, while Bitcoin's dominance is anywhere between, 61% to 62 or 63%. And then we experience a pullback on Bitcoin's dominance, potentially, December or January. This could take a little while to play out to the end of the year. And right now, Bitcoin is at such a critical level because multiple closes below the 50-week EMA would confirm the top being in, as it always has each cycle, according to Ben Cowan. Regardless of whether the top is in or if we go slightly higher, he thinks 2026 will be a bear market just like all prior midterm years. And I'm in agreement with him. I've been saying that since 2022. Now, total 2 right now is below the 50-week EMA as well. So it's not over just yet. What would tell me that this is over is if we see the 20-week EMA crossing below the 50-week EMA for both Bitcoin and altcoins. And so I do believe there would be a bounce to the upside. If we are going to go into a bear market and this was the top, well then if we compare back to the last bull run cycle where us breaking down below the 50-week EMA, the stochastic RSI was all the way down here close to 0. We're now seeing the stochastic RSI down here close to 0. It's at 6.95 for both the K line and the D line. So similar to this breakdown right here, if this bull run is over, this is just hypothetically speaking, but nonetheless, there would most likely be a bounce back to the upside for a complacency stage high if the high is in for a lower high before we really go into the bear market. So a lot of people are going to panic sell this right here. And I think that's not the best move because we're all the way down here on the stochastic RSI. The best move is to sell a recovery bounce because they've always happened in a bear market. For example, going back to 2017, 2018, after we saw this sell off down below the 20 and the 50-week EMA, the stochastic RSI was all the way down here. We saw a recovery dead cat bounce right here to form a lower high after the bull market peak was in, and the stochastic RSI bounced all the way up on the recovery. So the smartest thing to do right now would be to just wait for a recovery, or if you're going to rotate to Bitcoin, if you don't want to see your altcoins absolutely get destroyed over the next couple weeks, because Bitcoin's dominance is still looking strong, my expectations would be for altcoins to just range down here for a little bit before making that bounce. So unless we see an aggressive recovery right now, altcoins are just not looking so hot. And that's just the facts. You have to be emotionally indifferent for that. You can't be delusional here. We even talked about this on XRP's price chart, and I compared it back to right here, last bull run cycle, when we broke below the 50 EMA, and then we saw an aggressive recovery to the upside, but it was just a lower high. So I think a recovery is coming. The real question is if it's going to be a lower high, or if we break, $3.70 to form a higher high. Nobody knows that, but nonetheless, right now the stochastic RSI is down here in oversold conditions, similar to where we were all the way back here, or even all the way back here. The RSI is at 41, somewhat more similar to where we were back here in 2022. As we were breaking down to the 200 EMA. So where this could get really dicey for XRP holders is the 200-week EMA is all the way down at $1.33. If this gets more aggressive of a sell-off and we see XRP, breaking below $1.80 and it starts to come all the way back down here, literally everyone's going to be panic selling down here if this were to happen. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to take place, but if that were to happen, virtually everyone would be panic selling, but then there would be a recovery back to the upside, more than likely to where we are right now. So I think patience here would be a better play if you don't want to rotate any XRP to Bitcoin, because even if we go down here to the 200-week EMA, we would be the most oversold on the weekly chart for the stochastic RSI, and the relative strength index would get absolutely destroyed here. So I don't think that's going to happen, but it's crypto here. If these market makers and institutions really wanted to shake out retail, I wouldn't put it past them. So we just have to watch the 20-week EMA and the 50-week EMA. If these start to cross right over here while the price continues to sell off, then that's similar to what happened back here in April of 2022. So just keep an eye out for something like this, because that was when XRP went from 90 cents all the way down to 30 cents on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, or 10 bearish red candles in a row. It then broke below the 200 EMA. So I don't think we're there just yet. I personally believe that we're going to see a recovery for XRP with total 2. And we're going to experience this bounce here we'll just revisit this chart to see how high that bounce is. Because the stochastic RSI at some point will make a recovery back above 20 with that bounce. And it's the exact same thing that happened back here. Once we made a recovery after January of 2022 to March of 2022, the price went from 55 cents up to 90 cents. So you didn't want to sell the sell-off. You wanted to sell the recovery bounce if you were holding XRP at that point. So while the stochastic RSI is all the way down here, we'll just see how this plays out. But nonetheless, the last couple times that we broke below the 50 last bull run was June to July of 2021. The stochastic RSI was all the way down here. We made a recovery bounce. The next time after that, the stochastic RSI was all the way down here. We made a recovery bounce as well. So both times we made a recovery bounce, but it was just met with lower highs. So there's a high likelihood of a recovery bounce. We'll see if it's just a lower high here, and then for XRP to go into the bear market after that. Now again, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but a recovery bounce is highly likely. We're going to revisit this chart on that recovery bounce and determine where we're at on the price action versus confluence on the stochastic RSI. And also the relative strength index too, because we're just putting in a lower high here on July with this higher high on the price chart. So that's a bearish divergence, which is the same thing that happened here from the 30th of November to the 12th of April of 2021. It was a bearish divergence in this downtrend here. And then the RSI just couldn't reclaim above 70. So the make or break moment for XRP is on the recovery bounce. If it's aggressive and we see it come back up and form a new high, then this is where a lot of people are going to be comparing it more so to 2017's run where XRP just went ballistic here right on the 11th of December. So I think November is going to be dicey, but I think December, we're going to have a bullish December, and we'll just see how bullish it is. If it's a God candle pump like this past the previous high and we just see XRP explode, it would catch everybody off guard. But nonetheless, this is why we watch these key indicators here. We use stoic logic. Stoic is you're just unemotional about it. You're like, interesting. If XRP goes to 0, interesting. If XRP goes to $10, interesting. You feel nothing, okay? It's like this guy right here, Leonidas in the movie 300. And many of you guys have seen this movie where there's a massive Persian fleet and the storm destroys their fleet, sending them to the bottom of the ocean. And as the ships are crashing, everyone is celebrating here. It's like the market makers destroying the vast majority of retail, but he stands here stoic, just unfazed by it because he knows the battle ahead. This is how you got to feel in the crypto market right here. You can't celebrate your wins and get overly greedy. You also don't want to be scared of your losses and run for the hills. You stand there and you face the fight. Now, the fight that's coming ahead for XRP is going to be a massive one. And I believe we're nearing the end here. So we're right at this phase in the market cycle. And the real question will be, will XRP experience a God candle pump, or are we already at the end of this bull run cycle and we're going into a bear market that's starting right now? Well, if we look at XLM's chart here and HBAR's chart, they're very similar charts where you can see back in November of 2024, XLM topped out here for this run at 63 cents. And then by July of this year, it rallied up to 50 cents, forming a lower high. Look at HBAR's chart. HBAR did the exact same thing. Right here in November to January, HBAR formed the high of this cycle. And then by July, HBAR just simply put in a lower high. And now it's coming back down to this key support here at like 12 to 13 cents that also was resistance back here. And it's the exact same for XLM. So a lot of these altcoins, are just going to experience the similar price action as each other, especially the ISO standard projects. And so XLM selling off to the downside while the stochastic RSI resets down here close to 0 is something we've seen happen time and time again. I mean, we saw it happen back here on the 7th of April. The stochastic RSI reset all the way back down here to 0 while the price was selling off back to support. Then we experienced a pump back to the upside. So at some point, there will be a pump back to the upside. And I think that's going to be happening in December when Total 2 makes that bounce, when XRP makes that bounce, and these altcoins are going to see a move with the stochastic RSI and also the relative strength index back to the upside. This is my expectations here. Same thing for HBAR. I still think we have more momentum to the downside, but eventually there will be a pump. The stochastic RSI will reverse, and everyone will be caught off guard that sold all the way down here when we were in oversold conditions like we are right now. It was the same people that were selling all the way down here, the same people that were selling all the way down here. Those are the same people that are going to be selling all the way down here when the indicators tell us the exact opposite. I was talking about HBAR all the way back at around 5 cents, talking about how this is one of the easiest opportunities and the best opportunities in crypto all through this level right here because of what we were seeing on the stochastic RSI, also what we were seeing on the relative strength index close to 30. And yeah, even if you bought HBAR at like 5.5 cents right here, you know, it went down to 4 cents. You might have been a little frustrated through this range right here while it found the low, but then look what happened. Look at this God candle that just came in here and pushing HBAR all the way from 4 cents in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullish candles here. Over 800% in 28 days. Anything can happen in crypto, guys. So I wouldn't count this out just yet. I do think it's looking pretty bearish, and it's been bearish for a while. It's been bearish since July, ultimately since January. This whole entire year, altcoins just haven't looked good, but I think that's going to change. I think we're going to see a pump. The real question is, will we put in a lower high or will we put in a higher high? As you can see, when we pump for HBAR, when we pump, it's massive. It's insane. It's just unpredictable, and it's orchestrated. This is not your grandma, your grandpa, your cousin, your friends just coming in and buying it up. This is institutions manipulating the market to the max degree. But if you know how to play their game, then you won't fall into their trap. What is their trap? They want you to sell down here. They want you to sell right before they push the go button for the ISO 222 standard. And also the indicators are showing us this. We're all the way down here. We're in oversold conditions. XRP is in oversold conditions. Total 2 is in oversold conditions. Now, I don't think we just reverse right away. As I said before, Bitcoin's dominance still has a little more momentum to the upside. But once we see that bearish cross, like we've seen happen in the past multiple times above 80, well, then we see a momentum shift. And that momentum shift would be a rotation from Bitcoin over to altcoins. So I think that's still coming. But until that happens, Bitcoin is just a safer play because others compared to Bitcoin right now are still in this downtrend, experiencing strong selling pressure. We're down here at almost at 0 on the stochastic RSI, but that could be a short-term pump followed by a final capitulation down here to the bottom until we eventually reverse back to the upside sometime in 2026. So I think quarter 1 and quarter 2 of 2026 will actually be more bullish for others than it would be for Bitcoin. And I think we'll see some crazy pumps for some small cap projects. But if you have 10K or more in crypto, you're literally giving up an extra $300 per month in passive income. You're giving up on a free 3 to 8% additional monthly yield just because it's sitting on an exchange like Coinbase or Binance and you're being lazy. You're taught to hodl, just wait for price appreciation, and this is costing you thousands of dollars. So let's see what happens here. While your assets are sitting there doing absolutely nothing and inflation is kicking your ass. For example, Ethereum didn't do anything over the course of 3 months. XRP didn't do anything over a whole year. And Solana, same thing. It didn't do anything for an even longer period of time while you sat there making no money. And I'm not saying that these are bad investments. It's quite the opposite, actually. But the smartest investors in the world make their crypto work for them to generate additional yield. And why would you not do that? You're holding these crypto assets anyways. It's like buying a rental property and not renting it out. If you hold on to the property because you believe that it's going to appreciate in value over years, why wouldn't you rent it out so someone else can pay your mortgage while you still get the value appreciation? So it makes no sense to just hold your crypto without earning yield on your idle coins. And if you're just holding your crypto on exchanges like Coinbase, your assets aren't safe. In fact, Coinbase was hacked for $400 million and the hackers bribed Coinbase employees so they could access sensitive user information, demanding a $20 million ransom from Coinbase, which the company refused to pay.
I want to make you aware of a disturbing email that we received recently at Coinbase. It was a ransom note demanding $20 million in Bitcoin in exchange for these attackers not releasing some information they claim to have obtained on our customers. I'm going to respond publicly to these attackers by saying no. We are not going to pay your ransom.
And I even received a letter in the mail saying that my information was included in that hack. So I'm speaking from firsthand experience here, not just an article that I read online. So not only are you leaving free money on the table by not earning yield on your idle crypto, but you're also putting yourself at risk of losing it all, getting hacked, or having your account frozen by keeping your crypto on centralized exchanges. Because if it's not your keys, it's not your crypto. You already know this, so I don't have to tell you. You can't afford to be lazy with your capital. The US is drowning in nearly $40 trillion in debt, so this is your insurance against the system. To learn how you can earn passive income on your coins every single day while protecting your capital from hacks or scammers, my research team put together a step-by-step tutorial for you to start earning yield on your crypto today, and it takes less than 10 minutes to get set up. All you need to do is go to altcoinpro.com after you're done watching this video, create your account, and click on the Start Here lesson under the classroom, and you'll discover how one liquidity pool is earning our members up to 40% yield on digital assets that they already own. Plus, you can go into the DeFi yield picks and see even more opportunities to earn passive income on your coins safe and predictably with complete control and ownership of your assets. You will make significantly more money by being your own bank, and all you need to do is go to altcoinpro.com to get started right now.